Okay, we are now live. There's been to Agne. I think that's the right way of pronouncing your name. Anna Wilson, 1234. Pam Living. Good. I'm glad you're living, Pam. That's good. I love that. Jenny Outen. Kay Brown, 127. Denise, hello. Radio Lola. I love that name. Robin Best Life. That's great. Lisa Suzanne Hopper. I love that. Lisa Suzanne Hopper. Okay. Hi, everybody. Margie17 sounds true. Great smile. Wow. There's a lot of people at the same time. All about them books. Yeah, I'm all about them books. And we're going to be all about a really big best-selling book today. It was called You Should Talk to Someone. It was written by psychotherapist Lori Gottlieb, who's a New York Times best-selling author. She's a great contributor to the Sunday paper, a great friend of the Sunday paper. She has a big columnist. She's a big column in The Atlantic every month or even twice a month, Dear Therapist, where she answers all kinds of questions. And we wanted to have her on in advance of World Mental Health Day, which is October 10th. But it feels kind of like almost every day is a mental health day today in our world, right? We all seem to be having these deep conversations, deep angst, deep stress, deep anxiety about the state of our world, whether it's COVID, whether it's someone's lost a job, whether it's what we saw on Tuesday night in the presidential debate, whether it's the election, whether my ballot is going to be counted, whether it's safe. I mean, everything. And I thought, well, this will be a great time for Lori to tell us what she's hearing and how best perhaps we could all navigate the next couple of weeks that I think are going to be charged. Our conversations might be charged. And what do we need to know? How can we best rise above the noise? How can we best engage in conversations that are thoughtful, productive, and don't go like Tuesday night went? How can we be examples? How can we do better, perhaps, than the two men running for president did, or the three men that were occupying that stage? How can we do better? So that's why we're going to have Lori here, because we always want to do better. It says Lori Gottlieb, author, columnist, friend. There she is. Hi, Lori.
Hi there. I can't see, for some reason, I don't know. I can't see me on here. Am I facing the right way? Because I don't see myself at all.
Okay, now I see you. There you are. Are you okay? Nope, there you went away. You went away. So you will come back because you're that kind of person, and we'll try to find and see if you came back again. Can you say hi, Evangelina? Yes, I can say hi. Evangelina. Hi, Evangelina. Here's Lori Gottlieb. She's going to try to come back and help us through as we approach World Mental Health Day. She's going to help us through, and her book is really fantastic. Maybe you should talk to someone. We all should. I'm a big believer. We should all talk to someone. We're waiting for Lori Gottlieb. Why aren't you making a movie with Patrick? Well, because I'm not an actress. That's the first. There you go.
Okay, we got it.
Okay, great. How are you today? Lori, can you hear me?
I'm doing well. I can. It was coming in and out. I don't know why.
Okay, you're a little bit
fuzzy.
Can you hear me? I can hear you. You're a little bit fuzzy, a little bit blurry, but maybe that's your internet connection.
I don't know. My internet should be fine. Checking.
Okay. Well, we'll try to start and see if it clears up a little bit. How about that? I think that's good. Hello. Can you hear me, Lori?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, great. So I was just saying that we need you now more than ever as a collective. And I was wondering, before I ask you any questions, what are you hearing from the collective about how we're all feeling?
Yeah, I mean, so much is going on, to put it mildly. I think that a lot of people are experiencing a lot of anxiety, a lot of sadness, a lot of grief, a lot of loss, just worry, for a million reasons.
Yeah. And how do you advise people when they express that to you? They express worry, anxiety, or my daughter this morning couldn't sleep all night long. People I talked to after the debate said they felt like they had PTSD. They felt like they'd been smacked around. They felt sick and nauseous to their stomach. What's the best advice if someone is sharing those sentiments with you about how to hold their sentiments and be supportive and helpful?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to remember that the mood in a household is contagious, and the mood among, your friends, your family, it's very contagious. And so I think that when you're experiencing that feeling of like, everything is crashing down, it's important to be able to say, yes, I'm feeling this, and also to know that this is a moment in time. And I think what we do is we tend to catastrophize or futurize, like it's always going to be like this, or we're doomed, or, whatever it is, whether that's COVID or the debate or, everything that's going on. And I think to remember, here's where I am right now, and to just center yourself in the present. And then when you can calm yourself a little bit, then to say, what action can I take? Because I think that a lot of people start to feel helpless when they feel like everything is going right. So what can you do? And you can talk to your kids about that. You can talk to your partner about that. You can talk to, your family, your friends, like, what can we do? And so there's so many ways. I think kids are such an inspiration right now. I have a teenager, and he's doing so many things related to getting out the vote right now, for example. And I think with COVID, he was doing so much to try to help like elderly people who maybe didn't have resources or didn't have groceries to, getting groceries to them, or making a phone call to them. So I think when we take action, we start to feel like we can be a part of some kind of change instead of feeling helpless.
So you're advocating to people as kind of take a breath, kind of remember this is a moment. This is not going to be the rest of your life. This is not going to be like this every single day. So pause, right?
Yeah.
Pull yourself together, breathe, and then try to find some way that turns your helplessness into being helpful. Now, people might say, well, I can't do that. I just can't do that. I mean, I'm just frozen. I don't have my job. I can't pay my bills. I'm not going to get a job. I'm a 55-year-old woman. No one's going to hire me. What am I going to do? And then it builds up and it builds up.
Right. And I think that the one thing that you can do is make sure that you're taking care of your emotional health. That's something that we can all do, no matter what the circumstances. And I know there are incredibly difficult circumstances, but you still can take care of your emotional health. So you have two choices, right? When you're sitting there going, okay, how am I going to pay the bills? Or so-and-so is sick or whatever. You can fall apart, right? Or you can say, how can I take care of myself right now? I need to connect with someone. I need to talk to somebody. I need to get some sleep. I need to eat a meal because I forgot to eat lunch today, or, whatever it is. But you need to take care of your emotional health. We're so worried right now about taking care of our physical immune systems with COVID, for example, and we don't pay enough attention to our psychological immune systems. If we don't help.
Super interesting, Lori. How do you? Someone sits there and they go like, "Okay, how do I take care of my emotional health? How do I even know what my emotional health is?"
Right, and so that's where getting quiet really helps. So a lot of people are doing things that are really kind of toxic to their emotional health, and that's clicking on every news story is not really going to help you. It's going to really just trigger you all over again. Reading about more COVID deaths, not so helpful. You need to be informed in terms of what you can do. So there's a difference between productive anxiety and unproductive anxiety. Productive anxiety is where we're reasonably worried about something like COVID, like what's happening in our country, right? And so we take action based on that. So we wear masks, we social distance, we're doing the things that we need to do. Beyond that, unproductive anxiety is obsessive rumination. It's where you're going over and over the same thing. You're reading all the headlines. You're just bathing in all of the anxiety, but it's not helping you to take action to do anything to help yourself. So the productive anxiety is, I need to make sure that I am taking care of myself. I need to make sure that I'm taking care of my family. I need to make sure that my friends are okay, right? And those are the things that you can be doing.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
I think. Okay, now you can. Yeah. So those are all productive steps that each of us can do. I think kind of turning off the news or having a news diet, so to speak, or my brother's on a news fast, which he said has been really helpful to him. He just turned off all the news. And so I think it's kind of deciding for yourself what your boundaries are, is what's helpful. If it's like saying, I don't want to have any political discussions right at this time, they trigger me, or I'm going to choose not to watch the debate, or I'm going to choose to vote, but I'm not going to choose to engage here, here, here. So I think it's what you're really saying is like getting quiet, knowing yourself, and kind of implementing some boundaries on your emotional health. You can't put a mask on your emotional health, but you can put boundaries on it.
Well, you can protect it though. You don't need a mask, but there are other ways to protect your emotional health. And part of that is giving yourself permission. And I know this is going to sound strange, but to experience joy in the midst of all the suffering, in the midst of all the challenge. So a lot of people think, look at everything that's going on. I don't have permission to have fun in any way. I don't have permission to laugh. I don't have permission to play a board game with my kid and enjoy myself because there's so much going on. And right. And you not only do you have permission, but it is required if you are going to take care of your emotional health. So people feel so guilty. They're like, how can I enjoy myself? And that's part of being human, is living in the both and.
So what grade would you give as we approach World Mental Health Day? And that's one of the reasons we wanted to have you on, to talk about the mental health of the world. How would you grade it?
I think it depends person to person. I think everybody is experiencing much more stress than they normally do. Um, but I also think that lots of people are doing really well. And so we can take their example and say, what are they doing that we can learn from? And again, I think that it's important to remember that we have much more agency over our emotional health than we believe. So there are outside circumstances and outside people, but then there's also our response to the circumstances, and that we get to choose.
Yeah, when you say some people are doing really well, what are those people doing that enables them to do really well?
I think they're not doing the obsessive rumination, right? I think there are people who say, I need to be informed, but I know my limits. I know what I need to know to be informed, and then I'm going to move on to something else. There are people who have perspective. So they say, this is a moment in time, and this is a really challenging moment in time, but it's not going to last forever. There are people who remember what makes them human, whether that's talking to a friend, watching a movie, reading a book, taking a bath, taking a walk, moving their bodies, and making sure that the people around them know how loved they are. Because I think that's the one thing that people are kind of feeling like is optional right now. People are kind of, first of all, they're struggling with like being in close quarters with a lot, with their families for long periods of time. But I think that it's important to think, it's gratitude. And I know that sounds corny, but if you, at the end of the day, say, what are 5 things that I'm grateful for? Or even name one. What is one thing that I'm grateful for? Or what is one thing that I really appreciate about whoever's in your house, whether it's a roommate or a friend or a partner or a child or a parent? What is one thing I appreciate about this person? It really changes your entire being, just that one thing. And I think also the way we wake up in the morning is really important. So most of us wake up and the first thing we do is we check our phones, right? That's the first thing we do. And it's like 100 negative messages are coming at us right away. And we've been up for 3 minutes. And so the thing is, I think it's important when you first wake up to take a breath and maybe think about, what is one thing that I am grateful for in my life right now? Just one thing. And greet your family members, greet whoever is there. And then maybe you can, get your day going and look at the phone. But I think that if we do that before we've even started, we're already starting at sort of an emotional deficit.
Yeah, I have a whole routine in the morning that I implemented. It's a ritual. So I say a prayer. I give thanks that my feet can hit the floor. I go downstairs. I turn on the coffee. I haven't looked at the phone at all. And then I try to do my meditation before I look at the phone, because as you say, the minute you look down at the phone, you're transported into somebody else's demands, somebody else's reactions, somebody else's concern, right? So I think what you're really saying is that if you want to kind of get through this period, and it's really unprecedented in so many ways, it's really getting to know who you are, what works for you, implementing self-compassion, boundaries, practices, being grateful, being productive, and then recognizing that this is, as you say, a moment in time.
And I would say one more thing is to be really kind to yourself. So this is what I'm seeing the most that people are struggling with, is not being kind to themselves. They are holding themselves up to these standards that are unrealistic, really in any time, but especially during a global pandemic. They have expectations. They have kids at home who are doing remote school, and they've got people in their space all the time, and they can't do the normal things that they do, and all these things are going on. And what they do is they start, instead of saying, I'm going to have a lot of compassion for myself and go easier on myself, they go harder on themselves. And they start to self-flagellate. Oh, you didn't get this done today. Oh, you didn't do this, or this didn't happen, or you said this thing to your kid, or you said this thing to your partner. Like, you have to be kind to yourself. And when you have more compassion for yourself, you will have more compassion for the people around you.
Is there anything that has caught you by surprise when people write to you for your column, when you choose questions to answer in the Atlantic? Is there anything that you've seen now that you've never seen before?
I see everything that I saw before, but heightened. So if people were having problems in their relationship, now they're worse, right? If people were struggling with anxiety, now it's worse. If people had a history of depression, now it's worse. What I do see, though, on the hopeful side is I see people being incredibly resilient and flexible. So, people are coming up. This is unprecedented, so we have to have unprecedented solutions. And so I see a lot of people who are finding ways, because we're human and we have to connect. They are finding new ways to connect. They are prioritizing. They're saying, you know what? There are certain people who were not additive to my life. And there are certain people where I didn't nourish those relationships enough. And so they're really focusing and prioritizing and say, wow, I'm having these long conversations with this person that I really missed. And they're also saying, and I don't need to spend as much time with, the people who don't really add something to my life, or who sort of take away from the interaction. So they're prioritizing the people in their lives, what they want to do with their time, where their emotional real estate is going. And I think that's been, if there's any silver lining to this time, I think that's been it.
Has there been somebody referred to this as light bulb moments. Has there been a light bulb moment in your life? I mean, you're the kind of person that people come to looking for answers from. They want reassurance from you. Where do you get your reassurance? Where do you get your calm, your perspective for yourself?
Yeah, that's a great question. First of all, I want to say, one of the reason that I wrote about myself in my book was because I said, I'm just a card-carrying member of the human race, that I use my humanity in what I do. So I'm by no means, perfect at practicing all of these things, but I'm very intentional and mindful about it. And so, when there are moments when, like, I think, for example, the reason that we just had that problem on the Instagram was because my son's in the other room doing Zoom school, and he normally wouldn't be here doing that, right? And so you get frustrated by those things. But then at the same time, my 14-year-old, I know so much more about his life now because he's home, right? And I won't get this time back with him. So I try to find little things like, when he's like, Mom, can you make me lunch? And I'm like, I'm working, but I won't get to make him lunch when he goes back, right? And so I think it's really about appreciating the little things that we tend to overlook when we get overwhelmed by the big things.
I love that. That's so great. And as someone whose kids are out of the house, relish those moments, because you'll be wishing, I'm like, does anybody want to come home? I'll make them a sandwich. I'll try anything. But I think that has been really, for many people, a silver lining. I mean, that's an overused term, but they know more about maybe the life of their kid, or the life of their partner, or the life of a grandparent or something. They know more, really, in many ways, about themselves.
Right. And I think they have time to, kind of look inside themselves in a different way. So a lot of people are saying, wait a minute, I realized that this is what I want to do. You know, they'll say like, when we emerge from this, and I say, why are you waiting? There's so much that you can do now instead of deferring your dreams. You know, it's sort of like, why did we, you know, when people have like, in my book, I read about this person who had a cancer diagnosis, and she said, why do we need a terminal diagnosis to really live our dreams or pursue our dreams? Why do we need a global pandemic to do that? Well, sometimes we do, right? And I think that the fact that it's made us really live with more intention and question what's important to us is going to serve us well. And maybe we can't feel that in the moment, but I think that's something that we're going to take with us from this experience.
Beautiful. So beautiful. Lori Gottlieb, thank you so much. If you have not read Lori's book, please do. Maybe you should talk to someone. It's really great, really helpful. We'll post this conversation in the Sunday paper. I'm grateful to you, Lori, for your voice, for all the help you've given to the Sunday paper, for always showing up in the world to try to keep us all moving forward above the noise. So I want to thank you for that. And thank you for making time today.
Oh, my pleasure, Maria. Thank you so much for the conversation.
Great. Go back to your son.
Okay, take care.
Okay, bye-bye. So Lori's book, once again, is Maybe You Should Talk to Somebody. It's really great. And if you're feeling like maybe you should talk to somebody, that's really good advice. I've taken that advice. It's always helpful to talk to somebody. I'm a big believer in therapy. I'm a big believer in routine and rituals. And I think people who've had routines have found this whole time frame a little bit easier if they have a ritual and a routine. I think we've all been thrown off by this time. I haven't talked to one person who hasn't struggled. So I say that because sometimes you think you're the only person struggling, and everybody I've spoken to from all walks of life, all ages, is like, whoa, this has really been complicated, and it's brought up a lot of stuff for me, and I've had to rethink a lot of things. And so that's normal. So know that you're normal if you're rethinking things, if you're waking up sometimes on the wrong side of the bed, if your ritual's thrown off. But I thought her advice of, this is a moment in time, this is a day in time, tomorrow's going to be different, and then just trying to take it, as they say in the program, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, if that works better for you. So thank you guys so much for joining us here today. Once again, we're going to post that in the Sunday paper. If you don't get the Sunday paper, I hope you'll go to mariashriver.com and sign up. It's a free weekly newsletter that tries to lift you up above the noise, inspire you with news and views. And it's a place to highlight people who are trying to move humanity forward. So if you don't get it, I hope you sign up, subscribe. You can't, no, I'm not doing it in this swipe up, but just go to mariashriver.com and sign up. Thanks again for joining us, and have a great day. Bye-bye.